And we are live.
Nikos.
So we are live. Thank you all for joining us. We will start in 1 minute, less than 1 minute.
Okay, I think that we can start. It's really nice to see that attendance and above all, actually, to see among us very good friends, and some of them like Frederick that have been, the last time that I have seen Frederick, it was in Sao Paulo. You allow me this personal testimony, okay? Drisa, it's really nice to see you, Sylvia, Wallner, and all of you. So I have the honor today to open up a discussion that it is related with the presentation and a discussion based on the work of a very dear friend as well as a very good scholar. The scholar, which is Alexandre Sayad, and with very good discussants such as Dimitris Dimitriadis and Cynthia Picolo. For those, I am Nicholas Panagiotou. I'm president of DCN Global, that is actually organizing this event today. Actually, discussion regarding a major topic. And we're more than happy to have you with us. Digital Communication Network Global is a global organization that aims and deals with digital technologies. It is supported from Educational Exchanges Office of State Department as well, whom we thank. But most importantly, it is that this event, it opens up the event that it will follow and we organize in Brazil. On August 21 in Sao Paulo, which is the first day of the event, where we will feature engaging talks and panel discussion. This discussion will be on topics such as the analysis of disinformation and identification of trend sources of disinformation, the importance of truth and trust, the role of algorithm and social media in election and democracy, as well as media and civic literacy in education system. I just emphasize these topics and especially this initiative because it lies upon the discussion that we start today, and we will continue it actually in 1 month in Sao Paulo. So this is actually a call for you to be part, for those of you that are either going to be in Brazil in present, or because you know that as a global network, we provide the opportunity to follow our work online through relevant through the relevant channels. So you will need to register. The talks will be live streamed in English, Spanish, and Portuguese, because this in global work, it aims to adjust in local realities and actually to be embedded into the needs of societies. It is part of the expansion and on the launching that we have done of a chapter of Latin America that we have done on October in Costa Rica, I'm sorry. And the chapter of Latin America, it organizes actually this event in Brazil, which would also be continued. It will take place on 21st and 22nd of August in Sao Paulo. Having said that, and in order not to actually to let you wait to listen to the very engaging topic and the speakers, I will actually finish here and I will stay behind and listen to to Alexander, to Dimitris, and Cynthia. Thank you very much for being with us, and thank you very much for being into this very important initiative. The floor, as we say in an academic language, is yours, the virtual floor. Dimitris knows about it. Thank you.
Who can start this? Me?
Yes, always.
Okay.
This is the right order.
I
That
have a question for you. I like
Yeah.
it actually because I can understand the paradox, artificial intelligence and critical thinking, because we complain that artificial intelligence and AI will diminish, let's say, critical thinking and our creativity. So I will start with the title, and before passing the floor to our esteemed speakers, I would like you to tell us a little bit why you chose this topic and this title.
Thanks, Mariana. Thanks, Nikos. First of all, thanks for organizing this. I'm so proud, and I don't have words to thank you. So happy, how happy I am now. And to see friends from all over the world here, Sylvia from Argentina. I see Maricela that organized the chapter in Costa Rica here. I can see Frederick from Sweden. I can see Sylvia I said before. I can see Drisha, my dear friend from Morocco here, and a lot of wonderful people. Thank you so much. My academic career is not a straight line, so it's a little bit trouble with ups and downs. So I started this research a very curious way, because we use this expression, this concept of critical thinking widely, but I'm not sure if we know what does it means exactly, precisely, the epistemology of critical thinking. And that's what started for me the curiosity to research on critical thinking itself and education. At the same time, as I have like 25 years of working in the field of media literacy and media education, I said, and I haven't, Dimitris, you can believe me, in 3 years from now, I have no idea what was AI. So I decided to merge two different things. Research what is critical thinking precisely. To do not use, I have this bad idea to use words that I don't know exactly what it means. So even constant. So I go deeply on the sense of what is critical thinking. And this part was almost 200 pages. It was cut off my research. It was not on the book, and it's not on the original research, was critical thinking. And then I started from the scratch. What is AI? How does it work? Because at the same time, not everything is AI. And people now is telling AI is on everything, and you all know that is not true. So I decided to cross those two fields. What is AI, how it works, and can we fit our critical thinking on the impacts of AI? That was my question. And I have a friend here that said this book doesn't have any precise answer, but it's a really good start for a debate. And I do believe it's a good start. It's a good debate that we can start for now, because the old idea, while I've researched, Mariana, and that's the paradox I think you addressed really well, is that the idea of critical thinking came from mass media, basically. And I'm talking about television and radio, and of course, newspaper and other means. And the idea of critical thinking is that you have a mediation, which the TV and the radio, which doesn't learn anything. It's just a mediation. You need to be prepared to receive the message and then reply to that message with critical arguments, yeah, or point of views. You need to elevate you need to suspend your perspective, research, and then put your perspective in another line. This is critical thinking originally, but for mass media. But now we have a new mediation. And this is the point where I start with the algorithm, with the AI system. And differently from the other, the mass media mediation, it learns by itself. It has bias. It's a half human and half non-human mediation. Differently from the television, the radio, and other mass medias. So I start to put in, I choose 5 aspects of the original concept of which is a multiple concept, but I choose one for critical thinking. I choose John McPeak, which is a writer that started to make a bridge critical thinking from communication to education curriculum, and then other researchers that mainly in Brazil, Anísio Teixeira, who was a researcher in education in Brazil, that put critical thinking as an element of the curriculum. And how can you address critical thinking with this new mediation with the AI? And then I realized that we have new theories that maybe fits more in what we need for AI than fit for television or radio. And I mean the neo-materialist theoretical researchers. And I put Bruno Latour, the French philosopher, as one exponent of this area. So I was enchanted by Bruno Latour research. Really, I was fascinated by research when he considers objects, the agency of the objects within our network. The objects has an agency as the human has an agency. And as an AI algorithm is half objects and half human, it has an agency. And we need to consider this agency within the field we are working with. So as I'm a practitioner by excellence, I started during the 1999 to research. I'm an informal researcher and practitioner on media literacy. I decided to go in epistemology through the academia. So this research is very, I don't know if Dimitris liked it, but I'm very happy that he liked it because he said he wrote, but Cynthia was sure she's going to like it because I know it makes sense to her work in at LAPIN. But Dimitris, I know he's a very entrepreneur. He's very practical. He knows how to deal with AI. And my research is quite epistemological and philosophical on this book, but I think we can fit it. And so this is the story of this research. It started in a different way, and then with 2 different curiosities. What's critical thinking literally, scientifically? Gives me 200 pages. And what's AI and how does it work? And what are the ethical impacts of AI? And for those, I need the supervisor and assistance of 2 great names in Brazil on the Pontifical Catholic University. One is Dora Kaufmann, which was my supervisor, and the other one is Lucia Santaella. She's from the semiotic and linguistic fields, more connected to the American roots of linguistics, and she's very worldwide recognized, and she was part of my research to supervising and also writing part of the book. So this is the story of this research. How we have an object within our lives when sometimes we cannot see it, but it has an agency. So with an agency, it makes all the difference. I think Ahmad, you have your microphone.
Yeah,
Don't know if Mariana can close it.
I'm trying. Done.
Thank you. So Mariana, may I
I
follow?
would, yeah, I
Yeah,
would
okay.
like Cynthia, ladies first, Dimitri, sorry, to share her thoughts about the
Thank
book
you.
first and this amazing discussion that is so current and everyone is talking about AI and all the effects that this tremendous growth that we live and face it like every single day and the impact that this has on our lives.
That's perfect. Can you hear me well? Just
Yeah.
checking before we
Yes,
start.
yes.
Yeah, okay. I could stay here for the whole day talking about this, but before I share my thoughts with you, I'd like to thank you, Nikos, Mariana, and everyone from DCN for the invitation, and of course, Alexandre for considering me in this debate, and also my colleague Dimitris to be here with us to give you an overview from our side as well, because just a small presentation, I work in a civil society organization here in Brazil. We work alongside the congressmen and other civil society organizations, educators, and so on. So this topic interests me a lot, because we work with that every day, basically, to understand what is AI and the impacts and how to mitigate the risks that this technology poses. And I said to Alexandre before that I'm super curious to read the full book, because it is a super contribution to this debate, because in our world, well, where we are debating with the National Congress and lawyers, we always think about regulation and hard law, to mitigate problems posed by the technology. But the more we debate, the more we understand this is a multidisciplinary issue. We cannot only involve lawyers, we cannot involve only engineers, because it's something more deep. It's a philosophical thing, as Alexandre said. It's more like a reflection we have to have when we are thinking about AI. And I think that Alexandre's book is something that will open our minds to this reality in a language that is easy to understand. And this is the first point when we are talking about, media literacy. And this is a huge contribution, because we cannot talk about understanding an AI system if you cannot understanding what is written, if you cannot understand the information. And this brings me to something that in regulatory debates, that's because I want to make a connection with the book and the thing that I work mostly every day. So when we are talking about regulation, we have, for example, two basic principles that the agents operating or developing AI should follow. So, for example, the principle of transparency and explainability. So if you don't understand the basis of how an AI system works, if you are interacting with a system, if you're not able to understand that you can check facts to avoid disinformation, and if you're not able to think that technology can work in our behalf, you cannot exercise your right to explainability, to transparency. So it's a both sideways. So from one side, you have the obligations of the corporations and organizations, but also you have the obligation to foster this literacy among population. And this is super important in our debate. And I'm pretty sure that this book will help us to see beyond this technical discussion. And I like, Alexandre, what you said. I started from the scratch, from the basics, because that's what we have to build. We cannot go straight forward to, you know, the complex stuff about AI, because it's super complex. We have to understand from the basis, and also to be more democratic about the technological world we are living in. So I'm super happy to be here. I said this, I think, 3 times already, but that's true. And I will pass also to Dimitris to share his insights about this. And I am open to also make any more connections about the work we are doing here in Brazil. And also, just because I want to point this out, what Alexandre brings in his book is being treated, for example, in public policies in Brazil. So we have a huge Brazilian national strategy for artificial intelligence. And there is a working group working on media literacy, on education in schools. So I'm super happy to also introduce Alexandre's book in these working groups, and through, you know, the congressman, because it's important contribution for this discussion. And okay, I could be talking about this, and I will stay here until the end of this live, and I will be happy to answer any questions as well. And congratulations again, Alexandre. I'm super proud of you.
Thank you so much, Cynthia. I'm honored to have you and Dimitris here, and Mariana and Nikos.
The honor is all on us. I'm deeply honored for that, and I really like the concept. And I will start not from my academic hat, teaching data analytics and AI, not from my policy side that I do foresight, and we mention AI dangers and AI policy frameworks for many times. I will speak here as a friend, and I will start with a little story. We share a bus ride from in the US with Alexandre from our hotel to Stanford, and we had a discussion. And he started by showing the cover, and I was blown away by the concept of the cover and the thinking behind. And I said, wow, I was in the process of writing also a book, and we had a discussion about all the things that you need to take care in order to publish a book, and how to do research and all that stuff. And I was blown away by the idea. Back then, I didn't notice the timing. The timing now is so critical. And I will tell you why. Because right now, critical thinking plays a crucial role in order to understand the capabilities, but also the limitations of AI. So it's essential to differentiate between AI strengths. We say, okay, pattern recognition, data analysis, but also with critical thinking and the ability to objectively analyze and evaluation of information. It's a powerful tool to deal with artificial intelligence. And this is a great point of view. So from my perspective, this book gives you the underlying asset to start see the weaknesses, see the lack of emotional intelligence, the ethical decision-making. So we need to understand and have this book as a guide in order to make informed decisions about all the appropriate use of AI in various domains. I came from the foresight and data analytics, but there are many, many domains. And furthermore, as regards the critical thinking, we need to start examining AI algorithms and their bias in order to mitigate potential harm, because we saw from the politics perspective that they don't understand. And I say they don't because we are from the side that we are pushing for many years in order to understand. And we need to recognize that AI models are only as good as their data they are already trained, and we need to cut the propagation of biased information or discriminatory outcomes or whatever. So I will close this with a quote from John McBack that says, critical thinking is the compass that navigates us through the labyrinth of knowledge, empowering us to question, analyze, and seek truth beyond the surface. So this is, I think that Alexandre's book is the key that unlocks the door to understand and shape all the informations based on the AI to the decision makers. This is my humble point of view as regards this book, and this is a beginning. I'm also really happy and honored to be here.
Thank you, Dimitris. Thank you so much for this. I'm happy to listen from you and Cynthia this feedback, because I just released the book. And as I released in the beginning of July, and it's vacation in Brazil, I'm starting slowly to work on that. I haven't released in a proper event, physical event yet. So August will be a month that the things are going to happen. So DCN it's doing an amazing thing that's giving me the first feedbacks on my work on this webinar, and I'm really glad about it. And just Mariana, to make sure what the cover, and thanks for reminding me this, Dimitris. I thought you wouldn't remind this chat we had. It reminds me a lot, because the cover, I think it's the first AI book that has a human being in the cover, you know, which is this is a painting of Edward Hopper. Yeah, the American painting. And it's a lonely man in his office in a small town in the US, looking for nowhere. And I like to make a research in a book focus on the humankind and bringing AI from the perspective of the human being. And this is the connection that I've done with this. I always think that art is the best way to illustrate something. So I found a picture that was free of rights of this picture. Is a picture of Edward Hopper, and I used as a cover of the book. And this is what Dimitris was telling about. And just to make my final link, Mariana, what Dimitris and Cynthia said about we need to know it from the scratch, I translated into the media literacy on awareness. We need to know when you are talking to an AI system or dialoguing or using an AI system, and we are not. And I think knowing how it works and that awareness, I can translate for transparency and explicability or understandability. I don't know how to translate it in English. That are good points to be discussed. I think it can be inside the media literacy practices, curriculums, and activities. So at the end of the book, I analyzed the UNESCO curriculum for media literacy, which I participated actively, the last version, seeing because there's a chapter only for AI. And I analyzed Educamedia, which is a Brazilian project on media education curriculum as well. Not so deep. I analyzed what are the points. For example, I compared the first version. Look how curious it is. The first version of UNESCO Media and Information Literacy curriculum, there is not one mention of AI. It was released in 2011. And this new brand curriculum has 406 mentions during the entire curriculum, and in a chapter only for AI and ethical impact. So it shows in 10 years, because the gap is 10 years between one and the other one. So in 10 years, how it's the technology of our century, yeah. And so it's the first time that Dimitris someone tell tell me about the cover. So I'm so happy because I thought a lot about this cover. How can I present this book with this cover? and Cynthia, the language, it was tough for me because when I present the masters in the university, need to be in academic language. What I have done, first of all, this is 1/4 or 1/3 of the entire research. It's different from the original research. And then there are 5 collaborators, writers that collaborate with preface and postface and this kind of thing. And then I hire someone to help me to translate. Not ChatGPT this time. I was not sure if he could do that, but I hired someone, try to translate the language from the academic side. I can write in both languages because I'm a journalist, but to translate my own work is hard. So I hired someone to help me to adapt some academic stuff to the book to be accessible. So it's not a academic book. It's a book for everyone. And at the same time, I put it in open science license. So I will not get a penny for that. And we have the Spanish version in September with the University from Spain, and the English version by the end of the year. And you can download it, but we are printing too. And we are just distributing the printed version because to make it accessible, really accessible.
Yeah, you read my thought. My question was about, I know that you work, you have a huge experience on media literacy and the importance of educating different audiences on media literacy and how important it is to cultivate this critical thinking. It depends on the country, obviously, how important they think that it is media literacy and how is on the top of the agenda. Tell us, you know better the policies, the people that they need it more. What we can do, let's say, what we can do in order to start speaking and, of course, implementing media literacy for AI policies.
It's curious.
It's an open question. It's for you, first of all.
For sure.
Also for Cynthia and Dimitris.
Yeah. Do you want to start, Cynthia, and then I go later? Start with you, Dimitris, and then I talk by the end.
Yes, of course. And I think that this question also links me to something that I hear from the Brazilian presentation, Alexandre, that I think you should talk about it here, is that you provided a training for 300 professionals of the educational system or something like that. And I was wondering, what was the reaction? How did they receive this training? Because it doesn't matter if we have like public policies, we have a huge debate. We have to understand how to implement this. So for example, how to implement the media literacy in a formal way in the educational system. How are we going to do that? Are we able to do that? Who will be the people that will join forces to make this possible? So, of course, it's important to discuss this in regulatory debates and public policy perspectives. But as we think to reflect on how to make that in the real world. So I was going to ask you before about this experience, because here in LAPIN, we have also these actions like awareness raising, and we always struggle to get to these people. You know, we make like reports and everything, but it's very difficult to get to them like in the real world and explain and get their feedback. So if you want to share this experience, Alexandre, it will help us to understand how it was in the real world, you know, this experience.
I open the floor to Dimitris, and then I can come back and answer everyone. I think it will be great.
Great. From my point of view, the essence of the book as regards critical thinking challenged the whole thing, because critical thinking challenges the first thing that policymakers and people without media literacy have, the black box nature of some AI algorithms. So understanding how AI reaches specific conclusions is very critical and crucial, especially in high-stake domains like healthcare, finance, media. So critical thinking speaks about transparency and interpretability, areas that are essential also to media literacy. So in order to build trust to these AI systems and avoid killing a beneficial tool or giving too much access to a tool that will harbor dangers, I think this element of critical thinking is the #1 priority that will bring us to have an understanding and specific conclusions.
Thanks so much. You know that Dimitris was so fast because I haven't released the English version yet, but he used a plugin to ChatGPT to translate the book. So I will just paste here in the chat box the link to the download of the PDF in Portuguese. If one can translate by themselves, you can download it and translate it.
There's no reason to translate it. You just put it on ChatGPT and Ask PDF is a plugin, and you say, translate it me in English. And chapter by chapter, it will give you everything, and also it can summarize and give you the 10 crucial points. So it can be ready in a book presentation.
Amazing.
You have to read it all.
Yeah, it's better to read it all, but it's a good strategy. And I think, but anyway, Un Minuto from Colombia, Bogota, will translate to Spanish and release in Spanish in September. And then I'm still closing to a partner to English. I'm not sure yet because it's open license, so they can put the logo and make a partnership and just translate it. And what I'm regarding all you have said, first of all, Mariana, I have a part of the book that says where AI is being used in education, part of the book. So it means generally in governance. But also the students are facing this during their entire life when they when they go to social media, when they go everywhere. When I saw an opportunity is within, because we were starting here in Latin America, thinking about the Latin America landscape. Actually, in Brazil, we're starting to develop media literacy as a public policy nationwide, because we have a department now on this with a very serious person working on that. And I think we have an opportunity to bring the awareness and the critical thinking to this field as a kind of fundamental, elemental part of media literacy. But as you said, Mariana, we need to face complexity. When we talk about communication systems, we need to face complexity. I'll give you a number to understand what happens in Brazil. According to ABERT, which is the National Association of Broadcasts, they said that 76% of the Brazilians get awareness about the COVID-19 by the television, not through the internet. So the cable TV, where I host my TV show, I just started the 4th season of my TV show, was on the cable open television, reached 96% of the Brazilian houses, 96%. And if you compare to the wide broadband for internet, you cannot compare it because it's very unequal, the distribution of wide broadband internet in Brazil, even in schools and public schools. So that is very complex, the ecosystem here. So what we need to do, because I don't say, oh, all media literacy experts, forget television, forget radio, let's start to work on the internet. And I cannot say that, because I know the reality of Africa, of Latin America, of Asia, and even of Eastern Europe. Eastern Europe, Russia, and everywhere. So the role of television and the mass media is still very active. So what we need to do that on that public policy is to try to blend models. We need to understand how a mass media works, but we need to understand and have a critical think with the AI systems. And what I'm avoiding to do, though I've researched that, is that there is a term, a concept of AI literacy, and it's not new. According to my research, it was born in 1992. Can you believe, Dimitris? 1992 was the first register I found about AI literacy. But if we start to split in all of literacies that we need, you're gonna blow up the school itself, you know, with the curriculum, the school curriculum. So what Harder prefers that AI literacy, or the AI, is part of media literacy, because the complexity of media, it's related also to your right to be a citizen, your right to have accurate information, your right to understand and to develop the skills to research, to make a good research, to dialogue with the limits of the AI system. So in this sense, I think we need to embed the all AI spheres that we can imagine within the media literacy framework that we have, media and information literacy. After all, we are talking about the integrity of information. Bottom line is that what we are talking about when we talk about media literacy. We talk about good communication, with fair communication, with transparent communication. Yes, so we are talking about the same issue. And Cynthia, you have asked me about
the training.
The training. Yeah.
How was the experience?
Yeah, that's a good question.
New, yeah.
Yeah, because you know, I'm a practitioner, so I released this very theoretical book. I decided immediately to put in practice. So what I've done, since I didn't have the book, but I have the research, I prepared a teacher's training with the concept. It was AI, understanding AI. Is there a bot in the middle of my room? Was that a question? Understanding it. So what I started as the book, Cynthia, was to describe to the educator, it was 300 and something educators, what is AI? And I started showing a robot of my son, but a transformer, you know, a robot, and then a book, a recipe book. And I said, what's more similar to AI for all the audience? This robot, this toy, the transformer, or the book? Everybody said the transformer. And I said, for me, an algorithm is closer to a recipe book than a robot. Then I start to say robotic is a field, cybernetics is a field, and AI is another field. They can, of course, communicate, but we are not talking that all the robots have an AI. So we start, and then talk to movies. I came from the movies, mainly from 2001, Space Odyssey, where I think that HAL 1920, it's probably in the cinema the most similar system of an AI. Then I took Blade Runner. I said, this is not AI. It's just not close to what we have. I take other films, and then we start to develop awareness. And then I get into, and I even talk to the layers of the deep learning, how it emulates the brain, and the inputs and the outputs, and some specific points of theoretical points. But then we get into the ethical impacts. And then the ethical impacts, it's interesting for everyone, because everybody gets a loan from the bank. Everybody uses social media. Everybody uses YouTube. So you can find everywhere. So it was very interesting how the teachers, and the challenge was, how do you put some aspect of AI within your discipline? This was the final. They were from kindergarten, elementary, middle, and high school. I made two groups. kindergarten and elementary, one group. And then middle and high school, another group. And then we start to discuss how can it be part of literature, mathematics, and discuss and make small projects. I cannot say that the 330 teachers were happy with this training. Most of them, they said, my goodness, it's far away from my reality. I cannot do anything with that. And it's not my duty to take this to my class, sorry. It was not easy. But after the process, I can see within some schools where I work, that the issue became a hot issue. They start to discuss. And when I appeared there, they took me to the room, the teacher's room, and start to ask me things. Oh, you mentioned that. You mentioned the other thing. So I started the discussion with the culture, the pop culture, the cinema, the Transformers, and the receipt book. From that point, I brought them to AI. I don't know if it was 100. I don't have a formal evaluation of this process because it was very experimental at first. But some people liked, some people didn't like. But one thing I like to be clear is that I think AI, it's part of the techniques, technological, and language of the human being evolution. I think it's part of our evolution. I think AI, at first sight, is an amazing thing. It will help humanity a lot. When I talk about the ethical stuff, it's just to have a response for that. We need to have a response. We need to have the critical thinking that Dimitris said. But at first, I always say, you don't need to be afraid of AI because, look, you can get a lot of different things with AI that you didn't have. You can get a better life. Actually, this is true. You can get a better life. But we need to discuss access and awareness. And so it's a social issue. It's a cultural issue, too. And I always depart from the point of view of what skills do we need to be prepared for that. So I'm telling to Vlad, I was lucky to spend this week with Vlad here in Sao Paulo, and it's good. All the people from DCN, from Mariana to Nikos and Vlad, I started as a colleague and I end up as a friend. So this is the most beautiful way you can do. So I was talking to Vlad one thing that Vlad, if you focus on skills, it will never get old because the issues itself is going to change. The technologies change so fast, but the skills that we need to do, I think media literacy is all about skills, not about content. It's about developing skills in kids, in adults, in the youth, and in the elderly population. So when we talk about skills, we are talking about the good thing. Sorry, I talked so much, Mariana. Sorry about that.
You raised a lot of issues. First of all, that's why we stay young at DCN, because we keep exploring all the new digital trends. And this is our power to become a big company of friends. You raised another very important issue, as I can observe AI. A generation, apart from cultural and cultural issue, it's also, I think, a generational issue. What I mean, we see that boomers or Gen X, they are super impressed with the AI and all this potential. For example, millennials are also a little bit scary, that I would say, also impressed with all these possibilities, but also a little bit scary about replacing us at several jobs. From the other side, Gen Z or even Gen Alpha, they take it for granted. It's not a big deal for them because it's already part of their reality and their ordinary life. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's only my personal observation, as I am talking with different representatives of generations. Is it also a generational issue, right?
Cynthia, please start with you.
Me again.
So that you agreed, if I understand correctly.
First, because I want to hear his insights, and then I will compliment. Go, Dimitris.
Okay, I thought that we were going ladies first, but I'm happy to, to contribute. As regards the generation gap, one thing that I'm trying to highlight also in my presentations, in my keynotes, in my book, in everything, is one small thing that we are missing. The generations before Web 2, what we called people born in millennials or Gen X or baby boomers, they're missing one critical part, the thin line between the physical and digital. I tend to say that we as millennials, we are digital refugees. We went to the digital realm as refugees and we learn the ropes and we integrate ourselves in the digital. Millennials are digital natives. They born with it, they understand the realm because they grow up using these digital tools. One thing that all generations must learn and understand is that we have the thin line between physical and digital, and for millennials, digital is the fake one, is the constructed one, is something that is made out of fantasy. With AI and generative AI, this is really, really wrong. Why? Because if you have kids, they play Roblox, they play Minecraft, they socialize, they learn new skills, they develop their social soft skills. So this world, Minecraft or Roblox or any other early metaverses are the actual and physical and the extension of the physical world. So for them, the value of this world or the value of an artifact or a value of a possession there is exact same value as your house in the physical world or your possession, your paintings, Alexandre cover or whatever. So is exact same. So if we grasp, we as digital refugees, we grasp the concept of value and how value continues to grow through generative AI, because right now we have the same with generative AI. We say, no, this is something that generative AI created, so is fake, is made out of stolen IP or copyrights, or is based, we see a really nice poem written from AI and we say, yes, but it was trained on the big poems of medieval century or whatever. And this is also the same mistake that we did as analog minds in digital times. We said, okay, the digital realm and the Roblox and the Minecraft, these are all games and they don't have actual redeemable value. But this is not true. This is the same with AI, and we need to bring into our attention that digital, physical, or augmented realities have the same value as every reality, okay? We need to start paying attention to different realities. If we don't, we will also lose the media literacy train because we will be outdated and our fear of all these complications. Because for us, for example, to create a 3D world for a millennial was 300 hours of work and a 3D artist to create all these things. And right now, a kid that is 12 years old can log into a computer and say, create me a fantasy world out of Minecraft, and boom, they have everything. Is the same thing that my father, who is a graphic designer, saw me when I was 12 creating the first logo or the first design in a computer, and he was needed 12 hours with an airbrush to do the gradient, and I did it with one click. And he said, whoa, I need 12 hours. This is the same feeling, is analog minds in digital times. And we need to grasp this concept of new values. So one more time, critical thinking and this point of view, it's very, very, very crucial. Why? Because it's a fundamental asset in order to understand capabilities and limitations of both worlds, physical and digital, literate or illiterate. Okay, and with this, I will pass the floor to Cynthia.
Yeah, that's perfect. And I think that I will actually say basically the same, but using a more concrete aspect of the generational gap. Because when I think about my grandfather, grandmother, I'm not going too in the past, right? It's like 30, 50 years ago. What access these people had to technology and what access the young people we have nowadays to technology. So the generational gap, I think, goes together with how fast technology advances. We are not even able to follow like the technical, ethical, or legal issues, like because every day there's something new. So this dynamics is too fast, and it's very hard for them to follow, for these generations to follow how it is developing, how AI is developing. Because in the past, it would be amazing if you had a smartphone, and it was amazing when you could, use Google Maps. And now people are talking about metaverse. If I talk to my mom and say that in few years, maybe she will talk to me, seeing my image in front of her, she cannot understand how this is going to happen. But I think this gap is exactly because there is no information available to them. There are some initiatives that focus on young people, others focusing on more like the oldest people, because the language must be different for the audience. They have to understand that AI is not a futuristic thing. If you are like searching for a music on your Spotify, you are using AI. It's like a basic thing. So I think the gap exists, but with the technology, I think we see the benefit of it. We are able to close this gap, or at least to diminish this gap, by educating these people and talking to them in the language they will understand. And I think this is what Alexandre Books is about. And again, I'm super proud of him and about this work. And yeah, I think we have loads of things to do to, reduce this gap. And it exists, but we are able to work on that, definitely.
Thanks, Cynthia and Dimitris. I do agree fully with you both. And I was reading that book, Reality Plus, from David Chalmers. Yeah, I suggest to you Reality Plus. And when I started researching, I started to research what reality is. And then my supervisor said, please don't go further on that, because you're not finished. You're finished when you're 90 years old, when you discuss reality. But what is important on that book that David Chalmers brought us is that reality has a different sense for generations. What can be real for you or unreal for you, it can be real and unreal for other generations. So that's what when I talk to my kid, stop playing Fortnite or Roblox, or even that legal thing, I forgot the Microsoft blocks. Minecraft. Yeah, Minecraft. I said, I cannot say come back to reality, but he is in reality. when he's playing Minecraft, this is a reality for him. He's building up a reality. And this is wonderful of Minecraft, for example. I love Minecraft. I don't like it so much, but Minecraft is my favorite one because you can construct realities. So we need to take care to do not get old before time. When I was young, I used to say to my mom that I was starting to like Red Hot Chili Peppers and Nirvana when I was 16, Nirvana. And my mom said, "Oh, this is crap. Rock for me, it's up to the Beatles. And then after that, it's noisy things. Forget Guns N' Roses and this kind of stuff. It's not going. They are not going to be remembered in 30 years like Beatles. And we are now saying our praying to Slash and Axl Rose still, because it's a matter of Zeitgeist, the spirit of the time. And when I avoid to deny or to reduce the importance of things to my kids, because for their Zeitgeist, it makes sense for them. You know, the influencers, I know there are bad things, but it's part of their culture. On my time, television was not a good thing when I was a kid. There was two things good in television and 99 that were bad. But they demonized television. I avoid to do the same with YouTube, for example, and with AI, and try to look with the critical thinking that we're talking about. We need to check it out that the sense of generation, it was 10 from 10 to 10 years. It's not anymore. It's like almost 6 months to have difference in culture and generation. So we need to pay attention in that when we are dealing with high school. So I can see one very good person that I like very much, Sofia Levi, is a Brazilian girl, genius, who works with art and everything. She's here as well. I haven't met her for 4 or 5 years, but I'm glad that she's here. She's one example that she's connected with art in different times and how to bridge it. We need to bridge it. We need to build bridges in generation, and this is what brings us the main important thing.
Meanwhile, we have a very interesting, I'm reading the chat now, a parallel conversation on the chat, and I would like to share some of the things that they are discussed. Dricia says that the media and the information literacy across curricula and age groups is a very brilliant idea, and I see that a lot of experts that we have today joining us from all over the world, they focus on it, which is very important and very optimistic, if you ask me. And as said, it's important because this is something that as DCN Global, we try to map and develop all these synergies, all the interesting developments in order in relation with media and information literacy. We can agree all that this is a very complex topic, and the information flow on this digital sphere is already very complicated, and we need people from different fields and different backgrounds in order to work together on it. Also, Frederick says that I think that Alexandre's pointed to start in popular culture stories we have invested in is a very central idea. We tell stories whatever the medium, which is also very important. Not forget that after all, we tell stories, whatever the medium is. And this is maybe our connection with humanity, let's say. I know that Dimitris will say that also AI and ChatGPT is a great storyteller. Yes?
It's a great storyteller, but it's based on the humanity. What I want to say is, as regards Alexandre's book, because he did an analogy with Space Odyssey, which I really, really love. My point of view is the concept, the book, as also the movie, for me, is like a contemplation on the evolution of intelligence. both human and artificial, of course. But we need to delve into critical thinking and human curiosity and the pursuit of knowledge and all the risks, of course, associated with the advantage of the technology, because artificial intelligence is not measured as regards in years or in decades. We see after the concept of 2018 and the Transformers model, we see a breakthrough almost each week. So having on one hand, the concept of critical thinking and all the human curiosity and all the concept of pursuing knowledge, and on the other side, a vast technology that goes exponentially, and we are moving fast and can help humanity, we need to act as the sentient AI whole 9000 and be there for humanity.
Yeah, that's important. Also, Frederick highlights that the critical thinking is very important on a personal level, of course, but the policy level in every country, I would say, use it as a final solution, which lays on the responsibility on the individual. We need regulation on AI, and I think that Cynthia and all of us will agree a lot of this. It's good to be better safe than sorry, as he said, and this is also important, the regulation on AI.
Yeah, but regulating things so exponential also harbors dangers of killing innovation. So we need to once again apply the basics of critical thinking, understand and have a common understanding on how we do it, because I'm coming from EU and European Commission and the AI Act, and we are working on this, but even this setting on the good and great that we did in GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation, and we think that we got it. My opinion is we don't. We need to think again and again in order not to regulate AI, but to create a safe net for the people that they don't understand AI. Okay, so to regulate AI based on a risk analysis, for me, it's a problematic approach, but we are here to work on new approaches, and even an AI which is not sentient can propose also solutions.
Yeah, can I just add on that for a second? And I'm curious to know later this presentation, Dimitris, about this opinion about this. But regarding the policy level, I think it's a joint effort because, of course, policy and regulation is important at certain point, of course. But for example, how regulation or public policy will address the situation where we have more young people, for example, interacting with ChatGPT, being polite or asking for personal advices. So this is something that any regulation can address because it's something that goes together with the deep critical thinking about the human being. So it's really a joint effort because we are living in a world today, using the ChatGPT as an example, that's very dangerous for the critical thinking, how it will develop it. Because for me, it's super weird when I see people asking for personal advice to the ChatGPT, or if they're being super polite or saying good morning to a machine, to a system. I'm not saying it's a problem, but it's a problem when you are not aware that you are, interacting with something that is not a human being. So this is something that any regulation can address, and we can do a work through education. And that's the final word I have for this, because education is the basis of everything. Education for the population, education for those, for stakeholders, education for everyone. So this is really the basis.
So I think that we can discuss for this like for 5 hours. I have this sense, but I know that we are on July 21st. Some of you are based in countries that the temperature is more than 40 degrees, and I don't want to keep you more in front of your burning laptop. And I would like to have a final round of thoughts with Dimitris, Cynthia, and of course, Alexandre.
Shall I start?
Yeah.
Sure.
I will say one more time, I'm deeply honored for being here and giving a thought on this great work that Alexandre did. And I think that he lays the ground and the foundation for guidelines and frameworks that we, through critical thinking, ensure that AI operates within the ethical boundaries. We had the discussion in this bus ride that we need to have a responsible AI that prioritizes human values, privacy, well-being of individuals, a society as a whole. And of course, education is one of the pillars that we need to build on. We need people like Alejandro and all the great work that he does, and DCN to give the floor to these brilliant scientists and to move a bit the needle for humanity. Thank you very much, Alejandro, for the honor, and hopefully I will see you in person really, really soon. I still say in person because I'm a millennial.
Of course.
I will meet Alexandre soon personally, so I'm sorry about that. Now, my final thoughts, I think that we have to understand that technology will not stop. We are in a point right now that it will only develop more and more. So it's really good to be here in this conversation. And I also thank DCN for this opportunity, because we are doing exactly what we should do with technology. Use it on our behalf to exchange ideas, to map points that we have to work on, and to publicize works such as Alexandre's that are very important to foster this debate. And I think everyone that is here with us today are worried about these gaps, the risks, and wishing to understand more about this topic. And I'm sure that from now on, we can work together and make connections and keep, working together really as a community, a global community, because technology knows no barriers. So thank you again, Alexandre, and thank you, DCN and Dimitris and everyone that is here with us until now. And I'm super honored, and count on me for making your work, Alexandre, more visible everywhere in Brazil and abroad.
I will count on you always, Cynthia. And I like to invite Dimitris to move to Brazil, because then we can talk a lot. I would like to be talking to you during the entire time. And I like just to think the generosity of all of you, because you were here, 24 people, started with 33. You are more than 1 hour, 1 hour and 20 minutes here with, no, it's midday in Brazil. It's 5 o'clock in Europe. So I'm really glad to thank each one of you for your generosity to be here, and mainly DCN, Dimitris and Cynthia to host this. Nikos, you are, I don't know, I think more than a brother, Nikos. You are an amazing person. And Mariana, I don't know how you can be everywhere. You need to teach me.
And I will count Dimitris in order to create my hologram as well.
Digital twin. Mariana's digital.
Look, there is someone from
metaverses.
Yeah, and I just like to underline that there, Drisha Schutt, who is here, and Sylvia Bashir, who is here, two great friends. They are in charge of UNESCO Media and Information Literacy now. So it's good that they participate, and I'm proud to be a friend of them and to be part of it, because I'm sure they're going to take the message, and as they do, they are elected for that. And there's someone from Malaysia that said it's midnight there, and she was online until there here in the chat. So Frederick too. Frederick in Sweden, probably. Frederick, I miss you so much too. Thank you so much for being here. And Esther Hamburger from Brazil, from University of Sao Paulo. Sofia Levi, my dear friend. Hope to meet you soon. And thanks a lot for your generosity, all of you. I will put my email here in the chat box if you want to continue talking to me.
Yeah, of course. And also I would like to highlight that the book is available for download in Portuguese. And the printed version is also accessible for those who prefer a physical copy, like us, like the late millennials. And of course that we will have a release in a Spanish version in September, and hopefully the English version later in the year, for those who you want to translate it on ChatGPT. And I will remind once again our next big hybrid event in Brazil, and Alexandre is a proud part and member of this initiative. We will have a hybrid forum called Information as a Public Good. We will explore systemic view and responses in South America on August 21st till 24. And we will bring together experts specializing in all the things that we discussed today, actually: digital rights, influencers, data privacy, AI ethics, of course, and social media. You can find all the information on our website, dcnglobal.net. And of course, you can register and join us virtually in order to discuss all these important things. We will have a live stream, as we do in all our hybrid events, and there will be in Spanish, in English, and in Portuguese, in order to have as many people as possible and to be accessible to all. Thank you so much for your time and your efforts. We will have a follow-up. Feel free to join DCN Global and stay tuned for and be updated for all our activities. It will be a hectic and a busy year for DCN. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a nice weekend. Bye.